You're only going to find actual fun through purpose, and you're only going to find purpose through exceptionalism. So you need to become the best possible version of yourself in all realms. That's extremely important. The reason you are so unhappy is because you are trying to have fun. You're unhappy because you're trying to have fun instead of trying to become important. They are very different things, and you're never going to feel satisfied in your heart unless you become important. Please imagine.
And being important is fun.
Oh, it's absolutely fun. Please imagine, and I don't state this with arrogance, please imagine for a second you're the most Googled man on the planet. And you're a kickboxing world champion, and you have hundreds of millions of dollars, and you're built like a tank. Imagine how you feel when you look in the mirror. Nothing can match that, and nothing can beat that. As a man, you need to have struggle in your life. And I want you guys to actually sit and think, what struggle are you going through daily? What struggle are you undertaking? What struggle are you trying to overcome? Because you should make a list of them. I can know for myself, every single day I wake up and I train physically. Every single day I have to go through X amount of physical pain when my day begins. That is a struggle that must be completed. Then I must try and keep my massive empire online, see my children, take care of everybody. There's struggle involved. My life is difficult. Difficult lives are fulfilling because we used to have to hunt and fish and go out there and go through difficulty to survive. And I often see that when I speak to people who are too
comfortable,
they end up being unhappy.
Yeah.
You can't entertain yourself to happiness. You must earn happiness. You must climb a mountain. You must struggle yourself to happiness. That's extremely important. There must be physical, mental, social, creative, some kind of spiritual struggle. And those things being satisfied is what's going to satisfy you. It's like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a mathematical equation. You solve the equation, you get a Bitcoin. They say if you don't know what you've got, they say if you know what you've got, you ain't got much. And it's so fucking true. I don't know how much that coffee shop is worth. I know what it makes me roughly a month. I don't know what I could sell it for. I can guess now, like if I were to put a 6 times multiplier on it, you know, I could guess. But then what am I doing for every property? How much are all my properties worth? Fuck knows. Different than when I bought them. So the price has gone up, down. I don't even check. Don't know. So how much are the property worth? I can guess. How much the business is worth? I could guess. How much is my brand worth? If I put my name to something, it sells. I've been offered $50, $60, $70 million to sell junk to children, which I wouldn't do because I have too much morals. How much is my brand worth? I'm the most Googled man on the fucking planet. God knows. Like, I couldn't guess. I would guess that because there's different metrics of measuring the value of, say, a business, sometimes they'll put a 3 times multiplier on it, sometimes they'll put an 8 times multiplier on it. Let's put it this way. Hustlers University, 175,000 students, was doing about $13 million a month profit. That's an online educational company. Online is the future. Education is the future. It was seamless, fantastic, outcompeted Oxford, Cambridge, everybody. It was the best school on the planet. Not just because we had 175,000 students, because we retained 175,000 students. That's the key. 175,000 people were making more money than they invested each month. There's no other platform on the planet that can do that. We had no competition. There was no other online digital learning platform that was even 1% as close. We were the largest online digital teaching platform on the planet. And everybody wants to make money, so everybody wants to join. Male, female, rich country, poor country. That's $13 million a month that was doing. So what's that, $120, $130 million a year? 8 times multiplier, what's that worth, 800 million by itself? Like, depending how you want to estimate it, I can sit here and say I'm worth $200 million or $1 billion. I could be a billionaire with net worth for the things I own, things I'm in control of. Depends on how you want to analyze it. So the reason I sighed is because I don't have a clue how much money I'm worth. I don't know. I know that if I want shit, I get it. I know that the world is effectively free now. I'm at a point of money where I never ever contemplate the price of anything ever. The whole world, the only way I can explain being ridiculously rich is that everything is completely free. So if you want something, even 1%, even if you want something a little bit, the cost is 0% consideration. So I have 30 cars. I tried to stop at 10, but the car owners know I'm going to buy them, right? So they decide to launch a new Lambo, and they text me and go, "Hey, new Lambo." I don't even ask to see a picture. I'm just like, okay, because I'm not going to notice the money going missing. So why not at least? I might only glance at it for 3 seconds. I may never even drive it. I might just go, "Oh, yeah, it's all right." That's worth the money to me because the money is worth nothing. So the whole world is free. If I want coffee, it's like I buy and do things like the same way a person not even buys a coffee, like a penny sweet. It's just like, oh fuck it, all right. It doesn't mean anything. I can't explain it. I don't have a clue how much money I'm worth. I don't know. That's the answer. I don't know. I just know I can have whatever I want. Well, firstly, the reason I say rent your own home is because it allows you to be flexible. I think that the most adaptable
of the species survive, and rent is very flexible. It's flexible because one, you can move easily. Maybe you get a job opportunity in Japan, you have to bounce. Or maybe your country's about to lock down because of the common cold and you don't want to be stuck in your house. Rent is flexible.
Or you can move out and rent it out.
Completely. Well, that's if you own it, right? We go into that, but then you have to find a tenant.
That's easy.
Well, perhaps that is easy.
I've got 1,250 of them.
Okay, perfect. Then let me change it. Then perhaps you don't want to have anything to do with that country anymore and you have to sell it, and that's not quick, right? Another flexibility you have with rent is not paying it. I've
got tenants who don't do that.
You know better than me the law in the West.
Well, yeah.
You don't have to pay it for 6 months.
Pro-tenant, yeah.
So you can just not pay it.
Yeah.
So maybe you're in a situation where...
But you can also vet a tenant properly and then...
Correct.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, we're talking about flexibility. Darwin said the most adaptable of the species survives. This remains true. If you own a home, you are obliged to do X things. You can't not pay the mortgage, you lose the home. If you own the home, you have to upkeep it, etc. I'm saying if you rent a house, you can move if you get a better opportunity. You can move if the government becomes tyrannical, or if crime gets out of control, or something happens in your area which you're never going to know. And thirdly, a serious option is not paying it. And I don't want people to misunderstand me here. I'm not saying don't pay your rent. I'm saying if you have some information, let's say, the bull run that just happened, all that crap's over. But people were making money from thin air for crypto. Let's say you had some reliable information from people you trusted. Let's say those people have been right 100% of the time, and they said if you bought a particular coin, it was going to 1,000x. You could have missed rent for a month. And you could have paid it later. That's flexibility, right? So flexibility is also super important. So I always say the average person should rent where they live. I know that's strange because not everyone can rent. Someone has to own it. The people who own houses need to own them the way you own. If you own 1,250, you're doing very well. The way I own a house, it's not a mortgage. It's just give me this, beep, put on the card, bang, done. I own it, done. I don't live there. There's no work for me. If I had to sell it, I'd never need to sell it quick. I never need the money fast. It's something. It's just an asset. But that's why I say most people should rent until they're wealthy enough to buy it in cash. If you can't buy a house outright in cash, you shouldn't buy it. And even then, if you buy it, you need to be very careful. You need to make sure that that government is never going to turn on you. That area is never going to become downtrodden. And also understand that owning a house isn't free. There's property taxes, there's maintenance, there's upkeep. A lot of the time, by the time you pay all that shit, it's not far off rent. Absolutely, sure, that is a way you could do things. But now you're indebted to a bank. And it's fine if you have money from the sky, you can make money anywhere, that's fine, right? But if you are working a job, let's say in central London, and you owe money to this bank now because you've done it this way, that bank has a degree of control over you. You can't just quit your job. You can't just move. Things become very complicated. It just destroys your flexibility. To answer your question earlier, I don't own any property. I don't own anything. I own this suit, and that's it. So I don't own any property. Some friends of some trusts with some companies which are registered from Singapore may own some property.
Right.
I have the keys to, but I don't own anything.
So you have some assets under your control that are property, but you don't own them.
I don't have any. The Matrix hates me. I don't have anything. But I have some keys to some houses. And yeah, of course, they appreciate. Of course, you can rent them. I completely get it. But the truth is this. Property, like many other things, is very successful for some, but for most, I think it wrecks them. It's player versus player, like I said in everything. Doesn't matter if it's a cryptocurrency, which you buy at $1 or sell at $10. If you sold at $10, someone bought at $10. Someone gets wrecked. It's the same with property. You've done fantastically well from it. Congratulations. My property has never lost me a penny. Sorry, if I owned property, it would have never lost me a penny. Congratulations to me. But there's a whole bunch of people who get up, finish university, get a mortgage they can barely afford, work their ass off, pay huge interest rates, sitting there paying, and either a financial crisis comes and wrecks them, or they lose the home in the end because they couldn't keep up with the payments, or they finally get it paid off and they're so old that their life's fucking shit anyway. So property is not the be-all and end-all to anything. And in fact, I would recommend to most people, and if you look at most people's finances out here on the street, if you were to take 1,000 people who are watching this right now and look at their finances, 950 of them would be stupid to buy a house. There's 50, it's a good idea. But for the majority, it's not. The difference is, the Matrix tries very hard to push the idea of property. Some of the other things...
But you can play the Matrix at its own game.
Completely. 50 of them can. 950 can. And this is my point. My point is that the Matrix says do property, do property, do property. That is only applicable to a very small percentage. It's not applicable to everybody. The Matrix doesn't say do other things that are applicable to everybody. No. It tells everybody the same blueprint. And that blueprint used to be applicable to a lot more people. I don't think this was actually as deliberate as people understand. 50, 60 years ago, property was fantastic for almost everybody. 1 year's wage, you get a house. That house cost 75 grand. Now it's 450 grand. Fantastic. You did good. Absolutely. It's different now that the house is 450 grand, you're earning 40 grand a year. Now it's a very different scenario. So when your parents or older people say, yeah, do property, it was great back then. Now I don't think it's nearly as competitive as it was. I think that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. I think the poor are getting outpriced of most assets. I think that some of the biggest mistakes poor people can make or middle income people can make is chase assets they can't simply can't fucking afford. And the only way they can do it is to indebt themselves to a bank with interest and enslave themselves for X amount of years, destroy their flexibility to try and pull off owning one property, and owning one ain't gonna make you rich anyway. You gotta own as many as you do. And what I'm saying is, there's a small percentage of people who benefit from property, just like there's a small percentage of people who benefit from crypto or stocks. How many people lose in the stock market?
Most.
Exactly.
How many people lose in Forex? Nearly all.
All, correct. So this is the same with every investment. But the reason I'm only attacking property is because property is the one everyone says is safe as houses, good for everybody. No, it is not. It depends on your circumstance. That's my problem with property. In my scenario, or your scenario, how can we lose? If I buy a house for $5 million, and I'm never, ever, ever gonna need that money, I can wait until the day I die to sell it, then I'm always going to make money. I go, the property prices have crashed to $3 million. Then I don't sell it.
Yeah.
Who cares? It doesn't matter to me. If I had a mortgage on it, it'd matter. If it was my only property, it'd matter. If inflation is 20%, my wages are going up 1% a year, all this shit matters. But not to me, not to you.